You're on.
It like moves that crack every time we
Mayor, you're on. You're on, Mayor.
Showtime.
The meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please take a second and turn off electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Johanna, call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker,
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Here.
Commissioner
I
Blumberg.
am here.
First item for discussion, Lisa, the food bank.
Yeah, I sent an email, I'm sorry. The representative that was supposed to attend had a family emergency, so she has to reschedule. She just wanted to come in and, thank the city for their involvement with the food drive and the donations that were raised. And I also, in case you didn't notice, I didn't publicize, I didn't get a chance, but maybe, I don't know if Nanette wants to put another article in, I'd appreciate it. We did decide to leave the container there because she said, unfortunately, even though there's an influx of donations this time of year, by February, they're out of food again. So people just think of it at Thanksgiving time, but, I certainly told her that we would do our part and continue,
Good job, thank you, Lisa. Roger, zoning change?
Yes, Mayor. Last week at the planning board meeting, I introduced a potential zoning change along Amherst Avenue, where in the 1990s, when the zoning map was redone, the line separating the riparian zone from the WC district was moved to be in line with the bulkhead, and it took the businesses that were in that zone out of it, basically rendering them non-compliant. So the idea is to move the line back, put those businesses back in the zone that they were grandfathered in to begin with, and make them compliant again.
And that passed?
The planning board is in favor of that unanimously, yes. So I will get together with Scott, and I just wanted to present it to you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? John?
I sat down with Roger, he fully explained it to me and showed me the depiction on the map, and it's really housekeeping and cleaning up the issue that exists.
And the city's protected because the area that's over the water is regulated by DEP. There's not going to be anything new being built there where there's nothing there now.
Marty?
Good by me?
Yeah, I'm good by it, thank you. Anything else?
I guess the second item is flood damage prevention ordinance. We have to redo that again. There's mandatory language that the DEP requires us to have in the ordinance, and there's optional language. We reviewed it, took some of the optional language, kept it out, but the mandatory language we don't have a choice in. And I met with Longport and Ventnor. I know some people in Ventnor, by the way. We're trying to do a South Beach, be consistent with our BFE plus freeboard, where the first floor, or the minimum where it has to be. We have the same builders, we have the same architects, we have the same water, same ocean. So the idea is to be consistent in that regard. I think Jimmy's on board with that, but basically we want to do BFE plus 3-foot freeboard to the bottom of the floor across the island as a minimum. You can go higher, and the rest, anything above that's zoning regulated, but this is flood damage prevention. It'll help us with CRS, it'll help Margate and Ventnor and Longport.
Okay.
And how do we get from point A to point B now that you've got a plan?
I met with Longport yesterday with Jim Rotala. I'm going to Longport's planning board meeting in 2 weeks to support what they want to do and advise them that we're supportive of what they want to do and we want to be on the same page. Ventnor,
Is our planning board on that page?
I believe so, yes.
Do we invite, are they invited? Do you want the planning board there, Margate?
They could be. I don't know if they want another meeting.
He's the coordinator, I don't think they all need to be there. My question really was, it sounds like it's coming together, Scott.
It is.
And if it's coming together, if Roger reports that Ventnor's on board, and after this meeting, if Longport's on board, and he checks with our planning board, make sure that we're on board, and Jim's on board, the way to do is get the ordinance drafted.
Yeah, I know law enforcement's on board, 'cause
Right.
I'm on the board. And you're on Margate, we got it covered. All right.
It's cool.
We're in
Now
good
it's
shape.
It's
I think
what,
it's
3
cool.
foot, is it gonna eliminate some of the variances?
Well, the issue before was, if, with the freeboard, it usually measures to the top of the floor, but anything that's your design flood, it has to be water-resistant material. What we're talking about is to the bottom of the floor, it gets everything above that line. So you don't have to have the water-resistant material.
Yeah,
We're gaining a foot, so when the homeowner gets their flood certificate, they're gaining an extra foot, and they're gonna probably have a flood insurance cost of a couple $100 a year, that's it.
Yeah.
Does that help our rating? Our
Yes.
CRS
That's right.
rating?
Yeah, it's
You
great.
you on board, Jim?
I'm on board, I'm ready.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Anything?
Just
Roger,
give me the
why-
wording. All right, I got it in Word, and we'll just change it.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to discuss as department head?
Roger, do you see that happening in January then? Does,
Yes, yes.
on the schedule, that's.
Keep in mind that the DEP still has to review that one final time, and I don't know how long that would take.
Can you introduce it and then they review it, or what?
That's it. That's what we did last.
Right.
So even if it just gets introduced in January, I think that would be a goal that's attainable.
And then we set it up, is it still Gould looks at it?
Yes,
Well,
he's retired now.
hopefully he'll look at it before he goes.
So we have a meeting on the 4th, it's probably not gonna make that because of the holidays. How about the second meeting in January, Scott?
If we can get,
All you have to do is give me the word.
Right.
And do it. It takes us half an hour, so
Just trying to get 'em-
move on. Come on, Rich, we're pretty good on this stuff.
actually, I probably have it already done.
Then how about I set a deadline for January 4th?
Well,
Is that
make
good?
January 31st, then, for that wording, about it. We could have a blizzard.
Okay. You got the message?
Got the message.
Do you have anything else, Roger?
No, I don't.
Thank you, Roger. Jimmy?
Department head reports? Are we starting department head reports?
Yes.
Okay. Another busy week. It looks like another 4 houses came in, so it's nonstop. The house in Ventnor and Bendham looks like it's, I like it. Anybody else feel like they like that brick?
Well, I think it fits into the character with the Sulpizzi house next door. That was the Calvi house that was torn down. I spent a lot of time as a kid in that house, and for them, the architect and the builder, to keep inconsistent with that old brick style look, I think it really is gonna set a tone along our parkway section. And now with the addition of Thurlow and Ventnor, I'm looking at the brickwork on the base of the foundation there, that's also consistent. So I see a change coming, a really, really good, illustrious change along our parkway. What's the price tag on the Thurlow Avenue house?
$2 million just on the permit.
2 million?
Plus it was $1.7 million to buy the property.
Wow. It's not on the water. We love it.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Scott?
Well, we talked about our upcoming meeting with the Army Corps and the DEP in Trenton, but for the public consumption as well. It's our pre-application meeting, and it's in Trenton next week on the Wednesday, the 13th, 11 o'clock. There will be, our team will be going up. It's the initial start of our process for an application to dredge our Back Bay areas. It's an extremely important meeting in my view, and we will keep everybody posted.
Scott, what I didn't say, I forgot to say at the last meeting on that. Following that meeting, it's my understanding that you're gonna get together with your committee again, because you're gonna learn whatever you're gonna learn there. You're gonna revise that proposals.
That's exactly our game plan. Once we talk to them, bounce it off, and then we can tailor the proposals from our professionals as to what we have to do to move this forward. So, yeah, we're,
So by the end of the month, we could conceivably
have the dredging start? Well, I think that's a little bit overly optimistic, but at least we'll know what our proposal is, and we'll have another step forward.
There's one other thing, Mayor, on my table, on my checklist, was that you'd asked me to
try to work on that issue regarding the beach vending. And I would feel more comfortable, I think it should go into a closed session, either this meeting or the next meeting at our convenience to discuss it. There was a threat of litigation involved, and we are negotiating. Nevertheless, there is a resolution here about moving forward on the bidding for the vending on the beach, and I see no reason not to move forward on that, get that done. And if you want to change it, we could, but I don't know.
Okay,
Good with that?
thank you, Scott.
That's it.
Thank you. Johanna?
All's good in the clerk's office.
Really? That's good to
Oh.
hear. And the fan was,
The
I haven't
fan's
talked to you
fixed,
since
I
the
can
fan's
hear.
fixed, right?
Lisa? Can you hear?
I can hear now, yes. Problem is, can I see? No, I just want to mention this ordinance that's on tonight's agenda, 20-2017, for its unexpended proceeds ordinance. We are not raising or authorizing any more debt. It's just basically extending the purposes of what was originally authorized in that ordinance so that we can pay for those tide check valves. That was the emergency. So there is no additional debt being authorized.
Everything was great, what you just said, except not the tie check.
Does-
The
I
case
see.
for the emergency was the
Sorry.
broken.
Yes, the Burke Avenue water main, I'm
Burke
sorry.
Avenue,
I was like reading one thing and thinking another thing. So, that's the only thing I wanted to point out.
Thank you, Lisa. Rich?
Yes, I'm just looking over the agenda to make sure that there was anything that I should be speaking to. There is a resolution 227 that we've been talking about for a long time. It doesn't spend any money, doesn't obligate us to anything other than intent. And resolution 227 is a shared service with Ventnor, taking advantage of the program that Ventnor's been working on, where they have vetted 5 different engineers from probably 9 or 10 that submitted proposals to Ventnor, including our engineer Remington and Vernick. And they received proposals and analyzed the cost for all kinds of engineering services, picked 5 engineers, which Roger was involved in selecting, and we are latching on to that list for 2018 if you adopt this resolution. And what that means is if a project comes along, if we choose, we would send to 1 or more, or 2 or more of these engineering firms to get specific proposals for specific projects and to make choices where competition is desirable or required by federal or state law. So I guess the bottom line is, if you have any questions, fine, but the intent of this is to use those 5 engineering firms that are listed in the resolution, one of whom is Remington and Vernick, for potential projects in 2018.
Anything else, Rich?
Yep. There are several resolutions on with specifications that have been prepared by Roger in coordination with Public Works for janitorial services and television cleaning and of our sewer lines and services for landscaping. They've been revised to some extent that Roger worked with Public Works on. Their annual maintenance, we will ultimately, after we receive the bids, coming back and for awards. There will be a number of resolutions on the January 4th agenda dealing with some reorganization issues. We're trying to consolidate that at the request of the clerk and finance director. So most of them will all be deferred to the 4th when you make those selections for public defender and legal counsel that is
City
specialized. Legal
solicitor.
counsel. City solicitor we do every month.
Absolutely.
And my own contract, in fact. Lastly, we are able to report that both the Association have now, as of today, approved contracts that have been negotiated for salaries and wages and benefits. I expect the fire department to, they are scheduled to vote on Saturday, and if they approve their contract on Saturday, all of the major contracts will be completed in a timely way. First time I can remember, almost 8 months I've been, have them all done in December before the new year. And there'll be resolutions on the agenda for the last meeting in December on the 21st for you to consider those contracts going forward. Have I forgotten anything? That's all I have. Unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Rich?
You're going to cover that second emergency that we have, which is.
Yes.
Thank you, Rich. Ed?
Okay, the only work going on currently in town, we did have the water main emergency on Burke Avenue, which we had a series of holes kept popping up. That water main is, the new main is in place. They will be starting the services tomorrow, and then they'll have to coordinate with Fred for the last connection, which would be potable water and fire protection for Margate Terrace. Once they have all the services in, then they will come in and they'll just, they'll base to grade with I-4. And then we would look at doing that street as part of the road program. In addition to that, we had another problem crop up at Essex and Atlantic. During the road program, there was a problem in this, in the sidewalk area, which is where the sewer line is, that was repaired by by Lexus, a contractor. Another problem cropped up between that repair and the manhole that was done. We got a price from Perna, we had a price from Lexa. They were below the bid threshold. So while Perna was in town, we had Perna come, move right, had their pipe crew move right over there. They were able to connect Lex's repair to the new manhole without taking the street up. All we did is we lost the handicap ramp and some sidewalk. We didn't lose curb, we didn't lose gutter, didn't have any paving restoration. So it was very fortunate that they were able to do it that way. So that work, the connection is made. Last time I was there, about 2 o'clock, we were waiting for flowable fill because we have to force fill under the gutter. And then after that, once that sets up, we have to do concrete work there. As I mentioned previously in the capital meeting, we're out to bid tomorrow for all the street end drainage system improvements to ultimately connect into the Army Corps drainage system. Those bids will be received on the 21st. Scott mentioned our JPP meeting with the Army Corps, the DEP, and anyone else that's going to attend. So hopefully, we're going in with a very strong position. We're not wavering, we're going to do this or that. We're going in and say, this is what we want to do. That was what was decided at the last committee meeting, and hopefully that'll be effective. And that's pretty much all I have right now.
Okay, on that.
Thank you, Ed.
Second emergency, another comment there?
Sure.
If I may. The first one was very expensive, was $100,000 plus a little bit.
Right.
That's why the transfer of funds in that ordinance that was mentioned by our finance director. No new funds, we're using funds that we had saved from another project. This project is about $14,000.
Right.
The other bid was $24,000, so it was good to go to bid. We have $14,000 semi-emergency here. We're not declaring an emergency under the bid threshold. However, I have a problem with, not a problem, I have a request of Lisa. Would you coordinate with Lisa the detail of, and see whether Lisa can resolve extra.
Okay. Yeah, you just have to send me the details.
Okay, I'll have JJ send them over tomorrow.
Okay.
I want to stay out of it other than to ask this question, because this all just came up today to me. I'm pretty sure we could probably resolve it within the context of our regular 2017 budget. If
Most likely, yeah.
so,
Right.
if we can, my only reason for bringing it up now is we're doing an ordinance for 114 transfer and pennies. If there's any possibility that you want to change that number to include this, just think about it, let us know between now and the other meeting, that's all.
Okay.
Lots of time.
Very good, very good.
Good,
Think ahead.
good thinker.
She's the money girl, she'll take care of it.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you,
Well, I want to
Ed.
give her one more option.
Roger, you want to go around again? I can.
It's just another comment, in light of the water main break, I think we should, Ed and I talked about updating our water main maps.
Yes, yeah, that's, when we have the capital meeting, one of the items that I was going to propose, our water main maps have not, they're not electronic. They were drawn in 1923. I don't think they've been updated since 1968. And they really, we need to look at modernizing all our mapping, storm, sanitary, water. Actually, I believe there's legislation being passed that we're going to have to actually locate all our fire hydrants and valves on GIS coordinate system. So, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm going to bring that to the capital meeting, but in addition, I want to bring the head of my GIS department down to meet with Fred and Roger and Rich to look at a system that we're doing where we host we host our mapping, all the mapping on the cloud. Make it, and any mapping that you have in the city, your drug-free zone map, your zoning maps, the utility maps, whatever they are, and I'll give once I bring it to these guys, then we'll bring it all to the commissioners if they think it's worth proceeding with. But it's what's happening. For example, if we had to do a major water main expansion, and we had to go to the DEP for a permit, they would not give us a permit because we don't have an electronic water map.
Okay.
So,
All right, you know what, the timing is good for this. We talked about it a couple of years ago. It's even better now. From the financial standpoint, it's better, and from the requirement standpoint, it's better at this point.
But I do have a question there.
Go.
For Ed. Roughly over the last 23 or 24 years, you participated in every road program
Yes.
that the city did. And
I have
our
as-built.
city- Yeah, our city's second to none as far as infrastructure goes. So you have a lot of as-built, so it's ready-made, basically.
exactly, we just have
So
to.
you have to pick up from 68 to probably the 90s?
Probably, and I don't think in that time there was a tremendous amount of work being done.
yeah.
And what we have to look to see is how we convert the AutoCAD files to shape files for GIS. But we have the data.
Beautiful.
Scott and I talked about this yesterday, so whenever you set up that meeting, if you just let Scott know. 'cause
Absolutely.
He may or may not be available, but if he is.
So these maps ultimately would be a permanent record accessible for all future use.
By anyone,
Right.
anyone that you give the password to has access.
The fire department needs them too.
Yes, the
Yeah,
fire
when
department
people are
definitely
bound,
needs-
yeah, on the way to point.
Good point.
yes.
Anybody else? We're all done? Mara, you have anything today? Fred?
I have a few things.
Go ahead.
Since my last update, we have successfully replaced the geothermal pump for this building and cleared out the wells, cleaned them out. And this was all a part of, we were losing pumps every 2 years. And it turns out that the pumps that we were using were mainly made for non-salt water,
For fresh water.
for freshwater wells. So this pump is specifically made for salt water, It did take a while to get built because they had to build it from scratch. It's installed and running right now. I don't want to jinx it, but we had our HVAC technician here while they installed it. He made a few modifications. It seems to be working out fine, so probably the next thing we'll do is I'll have that on our capital list to replace the other pump and get that out of there. And then we'll look at doing some controls to have one go on and one go off at specific times so they both get the same amount of usage.
If I could.
Yeah.
They're originally designed, there was an alternator in there. And what's happened is over the years somehow, the alternator's been disconnected.
Yep.
Everything is a make or break. The pumps slam on, they slam off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
the
we want to go
controls-
with some variable speed motors and
Right,
that kind of stuff.
The new control panel that we put in when we did this building has the capability to have that control system incorporated
Yeah,
into
it just has to be wired together somehow, yeah.
So,
So that's been finished. There were a couple telephone poles that were scheduled for removal that just never got finished. We had to move my fiber optic cable out of the way, and I got the rest of the utility companies involved. That was at the corner of Washington and Winchester. There were two poles that were almost on a 45-degree angle. That got accomplished, that got finished. So those poles are gone. All the utilities have been moved to the new poles. And that intersection is now safe. We had to move a traffic signal, and it took a little bit of coordination, but we did get that finished at that intersection. Besides that, the department's running great, and that's all I have. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Frank. Marty?
Yes, just one thing I want to, though he's not here, I want to commend Frank and his team and Yogi and his team, which I think is Yogi, for the holiday lights that we see around town. I say this every year, that I don't know how we get better, but we get better and better every year with our holiday decorations, and I can't tell you how many people come to me and tell me how nice it looks, especially over at the rec complex. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. John?
I'm good, Mayor, it's on you.
Okay, I'd just like to bring to your attention that last Friday night, the police departments of Ventnor, Margate, and Longport coordinated in doing a Fill the Cruiser collection of toys for poor children. It was a great success at the ball field in Margate, very well attended, and spread the word. It's probably twice as big as last year's, and maybe next year we can go twice as big again. It was for a great cause, and it was well attended and well coordinated. And anybody have anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Public comment.
Oh, public comment. I'm sorry, John.
So close.
Didn't work.
What do you think? You're going to get a Hanukkah waiver? Sewell, 22 West Drive, following up on the solicitor's remarks. Going to Trenton, dealing with the Army Corps of Engineers and the dredging. Two issues. Number one, to date, we still don't have a dollar amount for this project. Number two, we don't know how it's going to be funded. And number three, it still leaves unresolved the silting of the Great Egg Harbor Inlet in the event of a hurricane or a nor'easter or tidal or storm surge, which would push the sand back into the back bays again and make the whole project for naught. Although you don't want to cloud the water while you're up there, I think that this ongoing need of a master jetty should be broached at some point in time, and continue to be broached, and continue to be lobbied for. Now that we have a sanctuary state status, perhaps you might be able to get some consideration following Murphy's Law. Thanks a million.
Thank you, John. Any other public comment? Is there a motion to close public comment?
Move to close public comment.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes,
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We'll take a 5-minute break. We will begin at 4:45.